on the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Kamala Harris wondering how many fingers am I holding up? Nah, I don't know. This chick's nuts. Nuts. She's not going to survive what's going on. She is absolutely flip-flopping already. It's pretty impressive, the flip-flop Camelop. I think that's what I was trying to say. Flip-flop Camelop. Crazy. They're going to lose. They have no chance. People are waking up in large droves. We've got some very interesting information around the J13, that whole thing. Also have more push and kind of a weird truth, I think, from Trump. I don't like it. I don't like it coming from him, I'll tell you that. But I do think there's this more continued push with the Telegram destruction. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Then a bunch of stuff around Trump and just what's going on and the movement that is happening, this giant MAGA train that is just gaining speed. And it is fan-friggin-tastic. So we're going to get into all that. All right, let's start it off with, I wanted to break these down. A little fun, right? So we got Camel, we got Rutrow, and we got T, and then last. Right? Kind of fun. I don't know, you can kind of get an idea what's coming. Got to be wondering what the hell's in a Rutrow. Yeah, Rutrow's kind of interesting. All said, we've got a bunch to start with first. This is cute as heck. Children learning the joys of the world. You've got to love this as a parent.
To the real world.
Like, she's crazy.
So, girls, what have we learned about grocery shopping?
I don't want to be an adult.
I don't want to be adults.
It takes me an hour worth of working, and I still can't even buy this.
There's three.
And it's 3 pieces of chicken. An hour of working doesn't buy me one thing of chicken at all. I'd be lucky if I got 2.
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Oh, we're so funny. Oh, we are so funny, girl. You go, girl. Uh-huh. Yeah. Cute kids, right? Learning the price. Now, granted, that's Tyson chicken, folks. Come on. That's the good stuff, right? That's like Foster Farms. Some good stuff. You get that frozen shit. Now, when you're young, you got to buy your own food or hot dogs. That's usually what you eat. Something very beautiful happening at Ohio State, or happened at Ohio State. I thought it would touch many of your hearts. This was cool.
State football players just did something on campus that I have never seen before. A free event put on by some of the Buckeyes' biggest stars collected thousands from the Ohio State community and grew even more throughout the night. It was all about sharing their faith in Jesus, which started with everybody coming together to worship, and the energy was amazing. Each of the players went up to share their stories of how their relationship with Jesus has changed their lives and how much God loves each and every person in the crowd. Courageous attendees took a leap of faith to come up front and pray a prayer to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, and it only gets better. Late into the night, with everyone taking notice, person after person made the decision to get baptized, which is a public profession of their faith, and lives are going to be changed forever.
Pretty cool stuff. Gotta like that, right? Again, we got, started off on the right foot. This is kind of crazy. So Mark Zuckerberg has admitted 3 things. We're actually going to read this document. I think it's better to go through it because it covers 3 key things that he admits. And this is Meta. This is him writing this to Jim Jordan. This is Zuckerberg writing this on Meta Stationery, right? So it's official from that business. Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Further to our cooperation with your investigation, I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. There's a lot of talk right now around how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions. including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement and in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent that story to fact-checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It since has been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact-checkers. Apart from content moderation, I want to address the contributions I made during the last presidential cycle to support electoral infrastructure. The idea here was to make sure local election jurisdictions across the country had the resources they needed to help people vote safely during a global pandemic. I made these contributions through the Zuckerberg Initiative. They were designed to be nonpartisan across urban, rural, and suburban communities. Still, despite the analysis I've seen showing otherwise, I know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. They try to make it sound like it didn't. Whatever. My goal is to be neutral or not play a role one way or another, or to even appear to be playing a role. So I don't plan on making a similar contribution this cycle. This is large in a lot of ways. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of coming at this from a few angles. I'm going to do my best to try to cover it all, I hope. So a lot of people are like basically saying, he's admitting to it, but that doesn't change it. They still stole 2020. This is election interference. He's admitting to election interference. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that side of things. I think where we're at in the world, we're literally less than 2 months away from the next election, right? So whatever the case is, I still think they're going to probably try a lot of shenanigans. But one thing we are finding out that I think is interesting is there's 3 shenanigans he points out that he's not going to do again, so he says. Now, do I take him on his word? No, this dude's totally lied to us, but I don't know. I'm going to be on. A lot of people think he's first off a cyborg. Could be. Don't know. I'm going to assume he's human for the second. And I don't know. There's this weird part of me that almost thinks there's like somebody inside of this, like there's a kid inside, like there's a Musk there. I almost kind of feel like he is another one of the billionaires that wants to change sides. Publicly, I guess, for that matter. And I feel like he's kind of taking steps in that direction. I don't know. Again, it could be perceived the other way. I totally get, maybe this is confirmation bias because I believe the world's actually getting better, believe it or not. It may seem like it's darkest before dawn, but dawn is near. Dawn is very near, and things are definitely looking up. So, again, there was Biden-Harris administration definitely pressured Facebook to take down information, period, okay? We know it was just this one thing, but then there was probably others. There was probably some one-offs here and there. Facebook censored Americans, period. Understand that now. Facebook throttled the Hunter Biden laptop story, which without a doubt could have affected the last election. Would have. Many say there's a huge, 25% of the votes to I've heard a third of the votes would have shifted towards Trump had that story been proven legitimate or shown to be legitimate. So, kind of a big deal. And if anything, it seems like this is one more avenue they're not going to be able to go down. But Donald Trump truth, Zuckerberg admits that the White House pushed to suppress Hunter Biden laptop story and much more. In other words, the 2020 presidential election was rigged. 100% agree. Now, what can we do about that at this point? I think we've come a long way. We've changed a lot of stuff, right? We got election laws that have changed in some place, or actual roles we've done better with. Holding people to election laws, not letting other people make changes that aren't legally allowed to. So there's been quite a bit that's actually happened. But yeah, they rigged that election. They're trying to rig this coming election, but we are messing with that severely. In fact, likely so severely that when we get closer to the election, there's a strong chance that the only thing they're going to be able to do is figure out how to not have the election. That there's not going to be anything else they can do, because if they have the election, their days are done. They will have no other option. The polling will be obvious. They will have greatly, hugely, drastically lost their base. It will be gone. It will be whittled down to this small little group of people that you can find, that you can see them 100 miles away, even with their face mask on. Usually indicator number 1. Indicator number 2, their hair is green, blue, or pink, or it's any number of colors in the rainbow other than just some sort of weird naturalish hair color that's somewhat acceptable these days, right? I'll even throw that gray color that people use. But still. Democrats sue over the new election rules in the battleground in Georgia. This is pretty funny. So when we talked about this law just came through where if there's any questions, if there's any issues, they count the number of actual ballots to the number of actual votes. If those two things don't match, this is the law, this is what it states. If those two things don't match, meaning I've got more votes than I do ballots, we have to stop, we cannot certify. Okay? Can't. And that makes sense, right? If the two sources don't match, if you don't have the same number of ballots as you do votes, well, we need to figure out what happened with the votes because something's not right there. Needs to be fixed. Because obviously something got added or whatever accidentally, who knows, got scanned twice, who knows? But we certainly don't want that to happen, right? Right? And of course, here's what the deep state's doing. So the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic Party of Georgia, and several individuals, including county board members, sued the Georgia State Election Board on Monday over new election rules that critics say conflict with state law mandating certification of election results. Mandating certification. At the heart of the civil suit, filed in Fulton County, of course, are two items the election board passed this month: the reasonable inquiry rule and the examination rule. The suit says that the rules conflict with Georgia statutes governing certification and that the election board did not follow procedures for rulemaking as required by state law. Well, isn't the election board in charge of the election, not the state? It therefore asks the court to pause the two rules to the extent that they conflict with existing law. The plaintiffs are also asking for a declaration that election results must be certified by Georgia's statutory deadline of November 12th, and that the certification is mandatory. We don't care if it's right or wrong. You have to certify it. That's kind of interesting, right? Like, what if there was some sort of calamity? What if there was some sort of, well, you just got to certify it anyway. What if we totally have this number of votes and there's, way more ballots or way less ballots than there are, right? Like, what if, how does that work? No, you just have to certify it. No, that's what got us where we're at. And of course, that's what the deep state wants, but we can't let that happen. Now, this is the story the Trump truth that I don't like. I'm putting it here because I think it's an important reminder while we go into this next set of stories. But Jesse Waters saying Trump's shooter had foreign encrypted accounts. First off, we did share the story yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. It was at the end. It was the last video I played. But it was actually Zuckerberg talking about encryption. Or not Zuckerberg, sorry, McAfee. Talking about encryption. And encryption's from point to point, okay? And what encryption's meant to do is anyone in the middle in the olden days could have grabbed whatever it was and then read it, right? Like they could have taken the envelope from the mailbox when you were trying to mail it and then opened it and look and then put it back, right? And read it and then sent it on its way. So you'd write it in code, and that way if your neighbor opened it and looked at it, they wouldn't know what the hell it was because they didn't have the cipher. They didn't have the key to be able to read it. So then it'd get to where it's supposed to go. They saw the encrypted letter, and they read it, and they're like, oh, yeah, totally. I used my little magic decoder ring, and I figured it out. It works, and it did years ago. Right now, they don't need to worry about that, and this was the point he was making. Encryption's stupid, and anyone that thinks that encryption makes a bit of difference doesn't understand encryption. So encrypting the two sides just means the two sides have the key, okay? So nobody in between can grab it, and technically no one from the outside could look in and read anything on the hard drives, right? Like I can't read any of the data because I don't have the encryption key. All right, fair enough. What do I do if I'm actually good at my job, like being a hack or being getting viruses or phishing attempts, or if I'm just the FBI and I somehow have all these tools where I can just force shit into your box because there's back doors on a lot of stuff. So I choose any one of those manners, and I go to either the cell phone, the sender, I go to the sender's computer, or I go to the receiver's computer, or likely both, and I put malware on both of those boxes. Well, now you have the encryption key, and I have malware on your box, so I can read everything. 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 That's what they do. So encryption isn't anything. It doesn't matter. I mean, it helps keep stupid people from looking at data. Outside of that, it doesn't make a bit of damn difference to anyone that even sort of knows what they're doing. Not at all. Doesn't make a bit of difference. And powerful. So again, yeah, he had foreign encrypted accounts. Big whoop. I think Signal was one of them, and I don't know. I think Telegram might have been one of them. So the French authorities have arrested the Telegram guy. We talked about this. They're apparently they've extended, the judges came in and they extended, because you can only legally keep someone so long without charging them, or you've got to let them go, kind of like our laws here to a degree. The judge extended it a couple days. Apparently they've got till Wednesday to either charge him or to let him go. Now, the investigation began on July 8th, supposedly focusing on a person who is still unnamed, the office said in the press release. It remains unclear if Durov will be charged. Police have the authority to hold him till Wednesday. In broadcast channels, Telegram says that it will enforce rules against illegal content, but on its website, Telegram says it does not apply monitoring to any type of messaging between users. Because the deep state needs monitoring, don't they? And they want you to use specific monitoring software. Truly, open source monitoring software. This is what you should use. It's the recommended monitoring software. It's what everybody's using because it's got a back door. That's what they're doing. Deep state, are trying to force Telegram to put a back door into Telegram. Telegram has said the company has moderated child abuse content since the app was created and routinely closes channels devoted to child sexual abuse materials. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which works with tech platforms to remove explicit images of child abuse, told NBC News that Telegram has refused its outreach. Again, another deep state platform wanting to get in there. Hey, let us put some monitoring software in there, and then we can go ahead and monitor this for you, and you don't got to worry about it. And everyone's cool and happy. And Telegram's like, nah, we see what you're doing. No. Telegram, I'll be honest, Telegram, like the dude that's over there, he kind of sounds like someone like me. And I don't mean I'm to his level. He's really smart. I don't trust anybody is kind of a good rule when you're in a position kind of similar like this. Like you've got something that somebody, people want to be able to influence, and they want to get you to say the way things they want them to be, right? Like they want you to play that game. So you get approached. I do. It happens often. Often enough, right? I've gotten reasonably good at seeing it, but yeah, it happens a lot. It's kind of funny. So this is something that anybody that's in this world literally knows about already. And those that don't know about it or don't understand it probably have already fallen prey to it. The Kremlin said Tuesday that France has leveled very serious charges against Telegram CEO Pavel Durov and warned Paris against trying to intimidate him after the tech tycoon was arrested at a Paris airport last week. The French prosecutors accused the 39-year-old billionaire of failing to curb the spread of illegal content on Telegram, charges his company denies. French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday denied any political link to the arrest, of course. The charges are indeed very serious. They require no less serious evidence. Otherwise, this would be a direct attempt to restrict freedom of communication and, I might even say, directly intimidate the head of a large company, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said. That is to say, precisely the policy that Mr. Macron denied yesterday, Peskov said. They are being absolute, total hypocrites. And surprise? Emmanuel Macron, I would expect. So what? Let's list off the couple places where we know this would happen for sure. France. Possibly England still, but you guys are struggling over there. Macron's still holding on in faked elections. Oh, for sure in Canada. For sure. in Canada. Justin Castro over there, he has definitely already faked some elections to keep himself in power. I would say here in California, Newsom's done the same thing, and obviously the Democrat Party in this country, so we would, without a doubt, do something like this. See, these are the places where the deep state still controls, at least from the public level. And in the case of France, and like here in a whole bunch of places, right, we're all kind of fighting from the ground up. And we are doing an admirable job. And here they are attacking our free speech platforms, at least the serious ones. The French judge extends police custody for Telegram CEO. This is where they added 2 more days to it. Now, this is similar, and I think this is how they're trying to go after X here in America, especially for doing any sort of free speech failure. Now, I do want to say, I think this is, one, kind of ridiculous. 2, they don't apply the same thing, obviously, to ChatGPT and the other AIs that are out there, because if they did, they would have to do the same exact thing. Well, similar things anyway. But we have 5 Secretary of States, 5 Democrat Secretary of States, of course, but Secretary of States. And apparently Grok, which is the AI for Musk, was giving incorrect data regarding, I guess, the results or elections, essentially, of a few different elections. So they put out an update on X for Grok, and essentially what it is anybody that's asking anything election related, it's going to refer you back to vote.gov, which I'm sure will piss a lot of people off, but it's probably better. And I just kind of wanted to use this as a moment to remind people that AI is not, one, infallible. We've found that they actually, if they can't find an answer, they make one up because that's their job. So it's not necessarily accurate. It bothers me a lot because people are using it to search stuff and figure things out, and they're forgetting how to search. And that's an actual skill that you don't really want to lose, especially today. You need to continue to learn that discernment skill, and you get that by searching, by learning to search. How do I phrase this so I get better results? Like, it is all in the word choices. And so, yeah, it is what it is. And people that stay in the system freak me out a little bit. But there's a lot of people that are getting wise and hopping out, and I'm so happy that people are doing this. Right now, stocks are about as good as they're going to get, and we're literally just moments away from a black swan event. There was talk we were supposed to have one last week. Part of me wonders, one, they're trying to delay it as long as they can because they don't want this house of cards coming down before the election. It is going to make it impossible for them to win the election if everything they've worked for is collapsing because of them. It would look bad, that kind of thing. They'd actually blame Biden. And then I could see Kamala kicking him out at that point. Well, he destroyed the economy. I was vice president. I couldn't do anything. I'll fix it. Make me president. Put me in, coach. All right? So I could see how they're going to try to play it, and maybe that's where they think they might get their little honeymoon again, but I don't think so. But what that means, what we got, like a month? Maybe? A month? It's almost September. Kids are back in school. Folks, if you have a 401k or an IRA, with Fidelity, with BlackRock, with any of those Vanguard, any of those, if it's with someone specific that you know is monitoring it, like personally, that's kind of a different story. You'll probably fare okay, because at least you've got somebody that's not trying to follow the deep state's book. But if you're in a regular 401k IRA, I don't know how much time we got, folks, but just look at the calendar and look what's going on, look how things have played out, and you can probably realize, I don't probably have more than a month. Get out of their system. Take the wealth that you have while you can and run. And you run tax-free, penalty-free, by the way. You step sideways over into a precious metals IRA. It's physical metals. They're put in a trust. That's why it's tax-free and penalty-free. Right? They can't charge. You're just moving money you're moving wealth, let's put it that way, to a different location and storing it in a different manner. And then at that point, as everything gets weird and crazy, the price of gold and silver continues to go up, and it's gone up a huge amount since March of this year, technically February, I guess. But it was down in the, 1800 range for gold, and it's up to 25 something right now. That's what it's gone up. That's a lot. Silver's much the same. I think it was at 22 something, and it's up to 29-ish right now. This is since February, March of this year. It's going to likely continue to move in this direction. I think gold at 4,000 is not even a problem. Many say much, much higher than that. 4,000 easy. And I think it could go higher. We'll see. We'll see. But definitely a lot of room for growth still. Not any in the stock market or in the dollar. Inflation's killing the dollar. Government's printing more money. We're going in debt $1 trillion every 100 days, folks. It's just an obvious choice. Get out of their system. You have some time, not much. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. If you're in a 401k or an IRA, tax-free, penalty-free, kick it. Kick that wealth over to precious metals. Get it making some money and wealth for you right now. And when we go to the new currency that's likely coming, it's going to be precious metals back. So you're already going to be in the right place. It's going to work out beautifully. You can liquidate it for that new currency or whatever when the time comes. And God forbid you have to actually part with some of it. Then at some point, this might be worth $100 and maybe a loaf of bread costs $25. Right? I can still go buy 4 loaves of bread. Right? Somebody else needs $100. Not me. I've got a coin that's worth a lot. It's the way it works. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. They also sell precious metals, and you can possibly get up to free $8,000 in silver, just free silver for divesting some of your savings. So you've got some extra cash lying around. Again, how much time do we got before who knows what's going to happen to banks? Again, it might be fun to turn some of that into some precious metals. Gold and silver, in case stuff happens, definitely think some of the silver coins because they work good for a small monetary transaction. Because think about it, if currencies get totally crap, you might actually get to a point where you're trading in silver only. You maybe have, someone's got a skill, you give them a silver coin to do that skill for you or vice versa. It's going to be an interesting way, but things could very easily go in that direction. DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, we got the next step here. Camel time. All right, here's a good flashback to 2019. Kamala talking about the border wall being a bad idea.
This issue is about a vanity project for this president.
Right.
And it is a problem of his own making.
Right.
And listen, when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on.
You know what?
Instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including the Attorney General of California, I specialize on transnational criminal organizations.
Yeah.
That wall ain't gonna stop them.
No.
Oh, she's always been like that, you know? Always. She's so horrible. She's so horribly horrible. She's the horriblest. Awesomeness. Yeah, so good flashback there. Vanity project. Not going to work. Horrible idea. His creating, too, which is sort of funny. Kamala Harris now all of a sudden, though, funding Trump's unrealistic border wall would be a gross misuse of taxpayer money. This is what she said back then. Now, here's the best part. Talk about gross misuse of taxpayer funding. So the wall parts were already paid for. The Biden administration immediately, once they get into office, they sell those already paid for parts for pennies on the dollar. So tax money bought those parts that they sold for pennies on the dollar. Thanks, guys. You wasted a bunch of money. Now, if you actually are serious about what we're hearing, and little Kamala is actually doing the flip-flop on the border wall anyways, because she flips on everything. If she's elected president, supposedly, Kamala Harris pledges to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the wall along the southern border. Oh, you mean you want to buy new big giant metal beams again? After you sold them pennies on the dollar when they were already paid for? So you want us to taxpayer them twice? I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding your logic. I feel like I'm missing something here. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm dense and I'm not super smart like her. And maybe it's her superpowers with that cackle, you know? And maybe when she cackles, and then all of a sudden, like lightning shoots down her spine and she grows metal rods out of her hand. I don't know what the frick. Maybe she has, I don't know, teeth on her vagina. I don't know, people. I don't know. I just don't like her. That's what I do know. Attorney General Andrew Bailey is like, what? So you're going to build like the wall I just obtained a court order that you guys have to complete? because the money was already spent and all that good stuff. You mean that border wall? Because, yeah, Andrew Bailey, is AG, is just wondering where Kamala's mind's at with this same thing. Who knows? Here's walls in Minnesota. Apparently, there is this new little thing. It's like the fair. You got to go out to the fair. You got to have the guy that has to guess your weight. And then you got to go, I guess, by this anti-Tim Walz booth to win Never Walz prizes. I haven't watched this. I'm hoping it's good. It should be.
Live from the State Fair, the Never Walz booth. What's this guy gonna win? This looks pretty promising. Slow down, up. Oh, what are the odds? What are the odds? T-shirt winner right there. T-shirt and fan winner. T-shirt and fan winner. We got a little bit of a line. We got a little bit of a line. Oh, yeah. The line is longer than it is to get cheese curds. There's a little bit of excitement in the air here. Come on down, guys. We're on Underwood, just west of the main food building. Tons of energy, tons of fun, tons of great people. Come on down here.
No, it's so funny, and this is one of those weird things. I mean, this is one of those weird things in I think like where New York and like Los Angeles, probably even like Seattle, Chicago, like people that live in like big city areas, let's put it that way, or places with large amounts of population. It is just amazing to us to go to places that don't have that. I just found it, like when I went to East Tennessee, like, and I loved it, by the way. It was beautiful. The people were amazing. I love the accent. Like, I enjoyed everything except the weather in the summer sucked. And then the bugs were insane. Outside of that, it was a really awesome place. I really, really liked it. But it was so much slower than here. It was so much slower. There was one movie theater and it was like 30 miles away. I lived in a dry county, so you actually had to go like crazy places if you wanted to get, well, you just had to go out of the county to get liquor. They had beer and I don't know if they sold wine. I wasn't really into wine at the time, but they sold beer, but literally would padlock the beer thing on Sundays because of church. Like there's just things that happen in other parts of the country that just blow city people's minds away. Because in the city, it's just like crazy. So again, this is just like Minnesota, like in the middle of, this is a fair. I'm like, this is a big deal. There's a lot of people. It's like everybody came out. It's pretty cool. Again, it's just very different lives, very different lifestyles, very different pace. And again, to people that live in the slower paced places, like if you've ever been to a big city, it's crazy, huh? The energy, it's just like, oh my God, it's like anxious. It's anxiety inducing. It's just funny how it actually is. All said. David Plouffe, that's Plouffe? Plouffe. Sounds like a man queef to me is what it sounds like. A ploufed, like that's like I couldn't say fart when I was younger. My dad considered that a cuss word, so I had to say toot. And I got to say, saying toot, I tooted, is probably more embarrassing than actually farting, I think. I don't know about you guys. I'm curious, so you can put it in the comments. By the way, hit that thumbs up, too. If I've already broken through a couple of your barriers and made you uncomfortable, then you definitely want to smack that thumbs up for me, please. Help it out. Helps the video out a bunch. Anyway, David Plouffe. Excuse me, was that me? I think I ploufed. He's the architect of the Zucker Bucks. He's now advising Kamala Harris. People are seeing this as a scary thing, but I'm like, well, no. Like the most horrible individuals. You notice how they're jumping around job to job? This is what we're seeing right now. Because there's very specific people that are this horrible, or they have that much control over, that they literally can bounce them around like that. Who else can they do this to? Who else? Can't they just put somebody that's good? Talk about DEI, right? Like if I'm the deep state, deep state, inquisitive, whatever, right? Like I got to put one of my people in there. So it's DEI for sure. I got to make sure I'm controlling, in this case, Kamala. But before, it was obviously Zuckerberg, trying to get him to spend money in places. And he says to the information that I've seen makes it seem like it went fairly everywhere. Well, this dude even played a small role in it, probably gave Zuck some bad information to make it look like that, so he felt good about it, because maybe he is a reasonably decent dude or robot or whatever he is. But this douche is dark and evil. So here he is now crawling in behind Kamala. Again, it shouldn't surprise anyone. Kind of a weird thing, weird timing, not cool. U.S. military removed at least half a dozen photographs from public view that captured a ramp ceremony. I think it's probably where some of the watch stuff where Biden kept looking at his watch. I bet you a bunch of those photos were removed. But a bunch of these photos were removed, the ones paying tribute to the 13 service members killed in August 26, 2021 suicide bomb attack outside of Hamid Karzai International Airport, Abbey Gate. Task and Purpose has confirmed. So a bunch of photos were taken down. They kind of made it sound like it was, whoops, we didn't really mean to do that. Oh, well, shucks. We're going to leave them off anyway, though. But, yeah, the standard, accident thing happened. Biden-Harris administration officials appear to be advocating for the removal of age minimums for gender transition procedures. Literally want to make sure you're as young as possible. So that way, if your child is somehow told by somebody, you probably feel like you're a different sex, don't you? And the child's like, yeah, totally, because they're little predators. And then the child can either go home or just go to a counselor, talk to them, and then they literally can just, like here in California, they can take you away from your family and literally give the child drugs without your say in the matter. Because here in California, the state owns your child, not you. No. Oh, that's cute. You thought they were your kids. No. Like Hillary Clinton keeps saying, it takes a village to raise children. You've got to do it for the children. Because this is what they want to do for the children. You know, change their sexes when they're young so they can be like Pink and be, basically a woman, but not. That's all. So yeah, that's fun, right? Rachel Levine, of course, behind it, Secretary of Health, which is fun. I love that image they had of Kennedy with his shirt off, right, just friggin' looking all ripped, and then Rachel Levine, the current secretary, not looking healthy, anyways. Okay, that's all I'm going to comment on. The only female that I know of that has to get prostate exam was not looking healthy, is all. And not saying a prostate exam is going to necessarily help Rachel at all. It could. I'm not sure. It might be telling. But, yeah. Anywho. Michelle Obama's secret feud with Biden. Nancy Pelosi thinks of Kamala Harris and why the president was left physically shaking. So apparently Emily Gooden's dispatch reveals what really went down at the DNC. Pretty crazy times. Right now, Joe Biden is so furious. He got slighted by the Obamas. The Obamas did it kind of in a decent way. Supposedly, Nancy Pelosi sent him a letter or some sort of correspondence that way, because that's when they said, did you call him? Nope. She sent him a message. And it basically said, look, here's the deal. You either step down or else, or else we're going to force it or something to that effect. Or else I'll go and support somebody else. I forgot exactly what she said. But she basically threatened him. And there it was. Earlier this month, the Mail exclusive reported Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent a message to Biden on Saturday, June 20th, threatening to go public with her concerns about his candidacy if he did not withdraw. At least this is what we're being told. And so the very following day is when Biden withdrew through his tweet or whatever. So he's furious with her. And there is, who is it? So also the Clintons, apparently, because the Obamas supported the Clintons back in the day. Like, this whole thing gets into all the drama. So there's a lot of drama, and basically, long story short, Biden's furious. So one, he's not going to be president. He's not going to do anything presidential. He doesn't give a shit. He's only worried about himself right now and probably trying to get as much money from foreign countries as possible. Outside of that, Biden doesn't give a crap, and he does not want to work with the people in power. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the other side of this, which is going to be hilarious. When they do finally 25th Amendment him out, which they're almost assuredly going to do, talk about a bad day at the stock market. Again, drslikesgold.com. Folks, I don't know how much time you got. I'm not trying to rush you. Do what you want. I don't care if it's $10,000. Seriously, folks, wouldn't you rather take a huge chunk of that over and put it into something that's going to hold some value and probably go up in value? Even if it's just a little bit, trust me, it's worth it. I think it's better to take some of it with it, especially if it's only 10 grand. You don't need it now, right? So you can keep pumping money into that IRA, by the way. Anyway, all that said, we are heading towards calamity. Don't you think once Kamala's in charge and then Hunter Biden's finally arrested for crimes, She's not going to pardon him, is she? What about once we decide that VP Biden did some illegal things? Right? Nobody's getting pardons anymore, are they? Now, here's the other funny part of this. Trump is just totally nudging these guys. Trump knows Biden is furious. He knows he's furious. And he knows he looks like an idiot. And he knows this all happened because of the debate. And he knows that everybody then turned on him. And he didn't think that was ever going to happen. And so Biden is furious. So what's Trump do? Oh, he pokes it. That big giant button on the center of Biden right now that says, "Don't push me." It pushes that just over and over. Why? What's this button do? What happens if I keep pushing it? You know, this is what Trump truthed. You know, if Biden didn't do the debate, he would be the Democrat candidate for president right now. The fact is, debate or no debate, the Democrats really did a number on him. He's just pushing, just egging Biden on. It's like, oh man, they busted you open, buddy. Sorry. So yeah, Kamala's campaign is imploding. This is Richard Grinnell that is sharing this. And he says, I just heard from a Democrat friend that the infighting has reached a boiling point. She is a key advisor to many Democrat campaigns. I'm sure many campaigns right now are like, who knows Rich Grinnell? Who? Damn, which one fuck, right? They're worried. But they can't agree if she should speak to the press or continue hiding. Because they know she's going to fail when she tries to speak to the press. They want to try to control it, but they know it's going to look controlled and get called out. They know they're going to maybe buy a day or two at best, and then it'll look worse, which it will. They're in a rough place right now. Extraordinarily rough. And not that good kind of rough. Rut-row is where we're at. I don't know. I'm just going to share some information. And again, what she did years ago versus now might matter. We'll see. We'll see. If there's any fresh information that shows she's still doing these kinds of things, that's a huge concern. But the fact that a very short number of years ago, this individual was pretty anti our entire camp and now seems to be one of the biggest proponents of our camp would be interesting. I don't know. So anyways, we're going to share what we got. Julie Kelly. Julie Kelly, who has a loud voice that appears to be fighting for J6 justice and election reform, is donating to Kamala Harris's campaign. They're doing it as a question. I'm telling you as a statement. We'll get there. What's really going on with her and her husband? So who are the largest donors in Orland Park to Kamala Harris? Now, this goes back since 2018. So since then, she's donated, I assume, multiple years. I don't know how they break this down. Oh, cool. They have dates? No. But we do know that John J. Kelly, he's donated a total of $5,600 to Harris. The FEC reports Kelly's occupation as president and employer as All Circo Incorporated. Julie C. Kelly has donated a total of $2,800 to Harris. Kelly didn't give the FEC information on their occupation or employer, probably because she's self-employed. So she is, I don't know who Chandra Curie is, but she donated over $3,000. FEC reports Curie's occupation as physician and employer as advocate. So I don't know who the hell, if that's her kid or who the hell it is. But Julie Kelly's donated to Kamala Harris, and possibly somewhat recently. Don't know. That doesn't seem to be in the data that they provide. That would be more bad if she's donated since 2018, right? Like while Trump was already happening. But so Jane Doe Citizen, a lot of people, she's getting beat up on Instagram or on Truth, X right now, and rightly so, I think. And this is kind of one of those things when bad information comes out about you, it's kind of a bummer, right? And again, it's one of those things where you kind of just got to try to maintain like standard sort of approach throughout your whole life, and you'll do the best you can, right? That's why I certainly don't pretend to be a saint by any means. Julie Kelly, I'm not responding to attacks on my family. Do you not understand what that POS is doing? I assume the person that's putting this out. I don't know if this is Jordan Sather specifically that found this, but it is interesting information. So I don't know if he's the POS, but this is true. Now, that is potentially one of the things that does happen sometimes, especially with Jordan, is he does call some people out or brings attention to stuff that, again, how far back does this actually go? Is it 2018 only, or has it happened since? I'd love to see some more info. I didn't go digging. I'm not trying to disparage her. I'm trying to put the information out there. I'm going to say we're going to figure this out. And Julie, if you've donated more since, that's going to be bad on you. And if you've donated at all in the recent times, you're going to get canceled. And I'm going to actually kind of support that. Like you probably aren't somebody that should be pretending to be friends of ours. I don't think I feel good about that. So we'll see. And I'm hoping it's just 2018. That'd be fabulous. Fabulous. We'll see what happens. So kind of on the Rutrow side. We'll see. She's a big deal. This is good. This is great, actually. It's about the J13. Dan Bongino was part of this. Also, Eric Prince. Two dudes that no security, no Secret Service type stuff, both. I think BlackRock is the other guy, right? And then, of course, Dan Bongino used to be Secret Service. This is very good. It's worth the 9 minutes. I'm going to play it at 1.2 speed just to make sure we get through it. I actually listened to it at 1.5 and it was pretty good, but we're going to bring it back a hair. This is powerful. This is it's almost possible, and we'll get there, that there will be criminal charges filed against people in the Secret Service for just gross negligence. Like, it's that bad.
Mr. Prince, you're one of the people I trust most about global affairs. You're constantly assessing the threat environment and intelligence. And I guess my question to you is, because this has been laid bare and these weaknesses have been exposed, are you concerned that we're likely to face not another Crooks, but perhaps a threat like you described, a team from a foreign adversary, a terrorist organization, trying to expose and exploit the weaknesses that now we've seen?
I am very concerned. The inability of the Secret Service or the U.S. government writ large to adjust, to learn a painful lesson from that failure and actually make concrete changes. Because again, the fact that a 20-year-old nearly killed Donald Trump, and the failure to adapt to even yesterday's technology, let alone tomorrow's, and when you see the step change of the ability to deliver precision fires at extended ranges, the lessons being learned on the battlefield of Ukraine, the ability for small units to deliver devastating precision fire onto any target, whether it's the White House, whether it's a motorcade, whether it's a president outside or even inside somewhere, is significant, and I don't think they have any idea what's coming at them.
And what Mr. Bongino seems to have told us is they haven't learned the lesson. He's told us decade after decade we should not expect the lesson to be learned by osmosis. Mr. Bongino, I will have to draw on your experience in protecting folks. I have none, but I do have some experience in observing what a government agency does when they're not telling the truth and they're trying to hide something. And the pattern recognition always goes to some form of scapegoating. We saw it at DOD when people refused the vax, they were scapegoated and driven out. We saw it at FBI when whistleblowers talked about spying at school board meetings and at Catholic churches, they were driven out. And now I take note of the fact that certain people at the Pittsburgh field office have been put on leave. And I've also seen the story change, where initially the Secret Service was blaming folks in local government, and then there was admission that there weren't appropriate responses to requests for additional manpower. So what I'd really like to do with you is bring us into that process, because Senator Hawley now has a whistleblower saying there was a manpower request that was coming out of Pittsburgh, and headquarters Secret Service was putting downward pressure on the local agents to try to reduce the intensity of that manpower request. So give Congress a little sense. How does that get developed? And then what should we think about the fact that someone is saying that headquarters was trying to get people to not make requests of enhanced protection?
Well, I can give you an example from personal experience. I saw Senator Hawley's tweet. The Secret Service is going to rely on this and what they're trying to do now, and you're accurate in your analysis about how this cover-up is starting to work. What they're going to say is, well, there was no real formal request made. Here's an example, and then I'll tie something that happened to me. Imagine you're working for a company, a public company. It's actual accountability. Stock will tank or whatever. You can't make products that'll kill people. You'll go out of business. If you do, there's a penalty. But imagine you're told by your safety guy, you're the CEO, and your chief safety officer says 50 to 60 times, hey, again, this widget has a defect. And if we put this out, it's going to kill someone. And it's clear after the 50th time that the CEO doesn't care. So at the 51st time you tell the product blows up, the CEO's gonna say, well, he didn't tell me yesterday. Well, he didn't tell you because he told you 50 times before and you ignored him. So what they're doing now is Ron Rowe, the acting director, who is the deputy director, the number 2, who is unbelievably, again, got a promotion out of this. A guy was murdered and someone got promoted, which is obscene and disgusting. He is part and parcel to this whole day-to-day ADPO, Assistant Director of Protective Operations, Deputy Director, Director chain that makes management decisions. When they tell you early on, we are not doing this for President Trump, Congressman. We're not doing counter sniper teams. We're not doing CSU. And then they say, well, on that day, we didn't deny assets. You didn't have to. You've been denying them for 4 years. I was told by a direct source, this is the quote, that at Mar-a-Lago, they were begging the DTD, the Donald Trump detail, begging for enhanced security. We can't secure this place like this. And one of the quotes from one of those 3 people I just told you about was, we don't secure nightclubs. Really? What if a nightclub owner runs for president? You don't secure you secure whatever the hell they tell you to secure. That's not your job. That is what happened here. And that's what they're going to rely on. And that's where you guys, I think, have had the guts to take this on. Do not let them fall back on euphemisms and word games where they go, well, that specific day we didn't say no to any assets. Have you in the past? How often? Matter of fact, how many counter-surveillance teams have you actually dedicated? What percentage of Trump sites? How many CS teams? There's a story out there that was the first time counter-sniper Secret Service assets were ever used at a Donald Trump site? So you're telling me your most threatened protectee had no professional Secret Service overwatch? As Ben showed, these guys are more than skilled and competent. They don't need the Secret Service to tell them how to do their job.
I think that gets to this intent question that Congressman Mills framed up perfectly at the beginning of our discussion. Congressman Mills says the key question here is whether this was your run-of-the-mill government incompetence or whether you see features of such just disregard for the duty at hand that you believe there's some malice. And in his opening statement, Mr. Prince says when the incompetence reaches a certain point, you can impute the malice to that. And what I think you have unique experience in is, well, like this culture of denying requests, like to Trump, or a circumstance where not even the Donald Trump detail, but the folks in the Pittsburgh field office who are not normally on the Trump detail were saying, hey, just based on this, we might need more, and they were discouraged from even making those requests, so they couldn't be denied. I think you can give us a lot of insight into the type of questions we need to be asking and of who to understand that culture, because like you think of the Secret Service, they're off with a number of protectees, yes, right? Of all kind of different profiles and different, priority, for lack of a better term. And so, like, what should we think about imputing malice at a point in which Donald Trump, one of the most threatened people on the planet Earth, is having to endure these denials and this culture of limited protection while you're seeing other details, beefed up substantially?
I think, and I don't think I put this out yet, but I'll put it out there now. When I was there, it was definitely not a political enterprise. It just wasn't. I never once, working for President Clinton, Bush, and Obama, had anyone even remotely implicate a political motive for any decision whatsoever. However, from the commentary directed at some of the agents in charge of the Donald Trump detail, which I've heard about, clearly, it appears that for the first time in American history, we have a Secret Service that is making decisions that may not be all political, but may have a political tinge to them. So what you're saying, I would love to say, Congressman, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I tell you with a pure heart, and I'm being absolutely candid, I have no skin in this game. I don't work there anymore. I'm not their PR guy. I run my own business. I absolutely believe Donald Trump and an enhanced security posture he should have had would have made him look more presidential, would have facilitated the logistical operation of him traveling. I think they were concerned about optics and making him look like a big shot or whatever word you want to throw out there. And they were making some of these decisions based purely on grade school level politics.
I don't want to believe that, but I didn't want to believe it with the FBI either. I didn't want to believe it with the NIH either. I mean, a lot of these agencies that have been, I think, subject to political capture, we want to think of them as above that. And we all spend time around Secret Service. We're inspired by their patriotism and the willingness you have to literally take a bullet for someone if necessary. But just like in the military, just like at the FBI, I worry about the political capture happening at headquarters, and then that culture informing decisions in a way that's very damaging to the country. So what Mr. Bongino just said ought to be the most important work of the United States Congress, to figure out if these decisions were run-of-the-mill incompetence that you've got to deal with the better tech and the better processes and the better HR and get rid of the DEI. But if it's something even darker and more devious than that, that must be rooted out, because what we've seen at these other agencies of government is it does not cure itself. It has to be excised, and that investigation is the most important work we can do. I thank you guys for leading this effort, and I yield back.
The level of crazy that's actually going on with these meetings, with the way the Secret Service failed on just about every level possible. Trump Assassination Task Force has even more questions after visiting Butler Rally's site, as chair doesn't rule out criminal negligence. And this is kind of the key point. This criminal negligence is a big deal. Now, again, they went there. They went up on the roof. The one thing that everyone was surprised about was how close the roof was to where the stage is. Yeah, duh. 200 yards, 150 yards, actually 147, I think it was. Not very far. It's not. Especially not for a rifle shot with a decent scope. Like, no, that's an easy shot. Trump's head was probably reasonably big in the scope at 157 yards. I don't know what sort of magnification he had on his sighting, but nonetheless, or sight, I guess. So yeah, they're talking about criminal negligence, possibly. We'll see what happens. RFK Jr. announces the Trump Unity administration would stop chemtrails. I like that. I love that, in fact. There's a post that came out talking about the chemtrails. He literally responded to it and said, yeah, we'll put a stop to that. That's pretty huge. Here's Tucker Carlson talking to Kennedy. He did an interview with Kennedy. I might check it out if I'm going to, for sure. I'd recommend it to you guys. It's an hour and a half or whatever, but this is kind of where I think Tucker's getting into Joe Rogan's territory in a better way. Rogan's talking a lot to his comedian friends and all that and really trying to push his club a lot, so I feel like that's maybe impacted some of his stuff, but he still has amazing people on there. And the other side is he's had a lot of amazing people on his show over the years. So, again, all these things stated. Tucker's kind of new, and he's very conservative, but he's very popular. I think he surpassed Joe Rogan in the number of people that are watching his podcast. Needless to say, still cool.
So my last question, what happens now? You had this kind of amazing announcement with Donald Trump on Friday. It's now Monday, I think, it was just 3 days ago. How do you spend from here until Election Day?
I'm going to work to get him elected. And I'm working with the campaign. We're working on policy issues together. I've been asked to go onto the transition team and, to help pick the people who will be running the government. And I'm looking forward to that. And
yeah, he is looking forward to it. And he is going to make a difference. Trump is putting together, this is like the League of Legends. I think I got a picture of her, actually. So that'll remind, right here, right? Justice League. That's right. And it's funny, I think my mind was already going there accidentally, but I actually love this picture. I don't know what it is. And again, I don't know what it is. There's just this weird natural beauty about this woman, just because inside and out, what she's done, how she's fought, I don't know. I know she was involved too. I'll get that out there. And this goes back maybe even 2018 or even earlier. But she was at the World Economic Forum stuff as an attendee. But she also was pretty disgusted with the way politics have become shortly thereafter too. So I think that was some of the stuff you're supposed to do as a young House member. But one of those things that you ultimately realize, I don't want to be a part of this. I didn't realize this is what we're all about. So pretty cool. Pretty cool that she's also joined Trump's team. Powerful stuff's going on in the Trump world, that is for sure. Now he's talking about making a Space National Guard.
One of my proudest achievements in my first term was to create Space Force, the first new branch of the armed forces in over 70 years. It's a big deal. Now that Space Force is up and running, I agree with your leadership. You want this very badly, but I agree that the time has come to create a Space National Guard as the primary combat reserve of the U.S. Space Force. Very good. Right? Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So as president, I will sign historic legislation creating a Space National Guard until I spoke to somebody that's a great guy, very much a fan of yours, Marco Rubio. I said, what do you think? He said, I love this. I love it. I love it. So we're going to do that. Space Force has been very important. Very, very important.
So he's kind of announcing a lot of interesting stuff right now. Again, I think the direction that things are moving, this was kind of fitting. It's the same video we saw recently, but they added a bunch of people, and some good job by AI. Ha, 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 ha. Staying alive. Gotta love it. Oops. Again, just so much happening these days. It is incredible. President Trump's legal team has filed a reply brief to Georgia Court of Appeals in his case to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. President Trump's legal team has filed this reply brief in the Georgia Court of Appeals, persuasively rebutting the state's arguments. This brief makes clear DA Willis should be disqualified and the case dismissed because her proven false, incendiary racial rhetoric in the church speech was calculated to heighten public condemnation of and thereby prejudice the defendants in eyes of potential jurors. Such misconduct violated the Georgia rules of professional conduct. Therefore, President Trump again calls for dismissal and her removal. December 5th, the Georgia court will hear the appeal by Trump and his co-defendants to have embattled Willis disqualified from the case. Should be very interesting to see how that plays out. Also, this is fun on a couple levels. So this is fun for us in the fact that Jack Smith is, trying to fight this fight. Now, here's the thing. He is this whole idea of whether or not he's actually properly appointed. So the Judge Eileen Cannon threw his case out because he wasn't properly appointed. He is appealing that, so he's filed his appeal stuff. This appeal, whatever the appeals court says, will be fine. Then Trump will appeal that, or they'll appeal it again. Either way, ultimately, this is meant to get to the Supreme Court. This is meant to get to the Supreme Court because we need to spell out and what we've always done and make sure what we're doing now is in line with that. And so making sure special counsels are properly put into place like they always have been, with the exception of this guy, then that needs to go to the Supreme Court. So that's kind of locked down as well. Can't have people playing with the law or pretending they understand what it means. But what's funny is now we've got, like, ABC has posted this one, so of course you can't trust it at all. The worst news network for sure is ABC. That's why it starts first. It's the worst, so they put themselves at the first of the list, so you just know who to ignore. The judge is rejecting efforts to challenge appointment of special counsel David Weiss. They're trying to say it's the same thing, but it's not. David Weiss was properly appointed the way you're supposed to be. Smith wasn't. They are very different things. But again, you've got ABC, who's not going to survive this, so it's okay. Bye-bye, ABC News. Bye-bye. I'm enjoying watching you run away screaming. It's kind of funny. It's like a dog that keeps attacking a cat, and the cat keeps winning. It's kind of funny. The dog's an idiot. When it goes off yelping, you kind of laugh a little bit. I was rooting for the dog at first, and then I was like, nope, he's a pussy. Not going to have, well, technically, he's not. He's getting destroyed by but that's it. Judge rejects effort to challenge the appointment. Said no, sorry. On your tax case, David Weiss is fine to do this case. So again, it's funny how they're playing this all out. I love it. All right, finally, the last of the Mohicans. First off, I want to remind you guys to get, the best coupon code out there. I think one of the best. I don't know. I can't say it's the best. I don't know for sure. I'll be honest with you guys. OTF, though, is a sweet coupon code, and they got a lot of good stuff going on. Free shipping over $75. Whole bunch of stuff at $25. They got towels all over the place. They've got sheets that start at $25. Super deep pocket sheets, too, by the way. Brilliant colors. But the deep pockets are my favorite part, which means if you have a topper, you can still get that fourth corner on without any issues. They are large pockets. All other sheets I've ever gotten from any other company. I've bought them from Penny's and Macy's and Bed Bath & Beyond and all over the place. All over the place, okay? Not like an expert, but I bought them from all over the place. MyPillow, huge, deep pockets. It was like weird. It was weirdly weird. It was so nice. It was weird. I'm like, why doesn't everyone else do this? Probably because it technically costs more. You're giving a slightly bigger sheet. And maybe these are like in China where everybody's smaller anyway, so they got smaller beds probably. Their queen-size beds, probably not as big as our queen-size bed. Might be a lot of it. Whatever the case is, these are made in America. So they know what frickin' size a queen-size bed is. And you know what? It fits it. You got room. And you could even put a topper under there or on top of there or above there. Man, in there. Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, mypillow.com/OTF. Mypillow.com/OTF. Mike Lindell fighting the fight. No longer has a mustache, which is crazy. Wonder if he's growing it back. We'll see. They've got the 6-piece towel sets you can get involved, $25. Pillows all over the place, $25. Slippers, $25. Blankets, all kinds of blankets, $25. Again, did I mention pillows? They've got pillows all over the place, and they also have, for $19.98, the original pillow. My favorite, my personal favorite. I love this pillow. $19.98, dude. Not even $20. And you get the best pillow out there. And, of course, beach towels. Make sure you get lined up on those so you got them for next year. Or if, you got a pool and you live in a place that's, like, warm most of the year, They're nice to have all the time. And dog beds at $25. It's starting there. So again, many, many wonderful, great products. Free shipping over $75. So just pick a few products, free shipping. You're saving yourself a bunch of money just right there. You got $100 worth of stuff. You're getting shipping free. That's like 15% off right there. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. Mypillow.com/OTF. You're helping the channel. You're helping, of course, Mike Lindell grow his mustache back. You're helping an American company, and you're helping yourself and anyone you give these gifts to. mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. It's indeedly true. All right, what do we got here? Boom. Attorney General Andrew Bailey has posted this. We have obtained a court order halting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's illegal parole in place program, allowing illegal aliens to remain in our country after they've crossed the border. Huge win for the rule of law. Onward and upward. And Elon Musk responded, great. Parole in place. It's just code for do nothing. Exactly. So Attorney General Bailey has stopped this movement as well. Interesting, it's him and not Paxton. I don't understand why Paxton's, he's quiet, he's working on stuff, but it's weird, right? Like, I don't know, he's so noisy, and then now all of a sudden he's kind of quiet, and Bailey's getting a lot of limelight. Maybe it's just to help share the love. I don't know. Maybe it's, Paxton's being quiet behind the scenes. Whatever the case, U.S. District Court of Eastern District of Texas just temporarily froze the Biden-Harris administration's illegal executive amnesty program following our lawsuit against DHS with Ken Paxton and Raul Labrador in a collection or coalition of 14 other states. Wow. So a bunch of states: Texas, Idaho, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, North Dakota, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wyoming. And yes, I said Arkansas wrong. I'm sorry. Said it right the first time to you guys, but I wrong for me. So I technically said it wrong. CDC is not an independent agency. It is a vaccine company. It is. CDC owns over 20 vaccine patents. It sells about $4.6 billion of vaccines every year. Not making stuff up. The number of vaccinations that a child receives before the age of 5 has increased dramatically. In 1983, a child following the CDC's recommended schedule would have received 5 vaccines by age 5. In 2024, a child following the CDC's schedule would have received 38 vaccines by age 5. Well, I bet you CDC owns a bunch of those patents, as well as their friends. This is nearly a quadruple of what they received in the 80s, back when we actually could eat peanuts, or we didn't have to worry about people bringing peanuts to school. We didn't have soy allergies like we do now. We didn't have all the crazy allergies like we do now. Back in the 80s, anyways. So in the first year of life, children receiving the full CDC schedule of vaccines may be exposed to as much as 4,225 micrograms of aluminum. That's all sorts of healthy. All sorts of studies saying it's not, right? Messed up. Very messed up, for that matter. Hezbollah has vowed to escalate its aggressions against Israel following a weekend assault. We talked about this yesterday. They assaulted hard. Over 1,000 targets, 100-plus planes flying in the Israeli Air Force at that time, and then just went pew and went and just scattered, went into, Lebanon, I believe, and attacked all these different sites that were ready to launch rockets against Israel, of course. And that was stopped. Thousands of rockets were destroyed. And of course they're, we'll get you. Well, probably not. We'll see. Let's see what this one was. I remember I have to pull it from here. Oh, yeah. The Netherlands is building a neighborhood where every car must be shared. Literally shared. Think about that for a second. If you actually did own a car, then you would literally have to let anybody drive it. But the second part, and this is the best part, who pays for the gas? Anybody that uses it? Like, how does that work? Or are you just like some homeless guy's like sleeping in it and he's like, I'm going to use it for the next 3 hours. Like, you're not going anywhere. I am. I'm taking a nap. This is awesome. It's raining right now. Whatever the case is, BlackRock, you named it. Yep. And this is not what we want to do. This is a place that needs to wake up. Little Susie, wake up. I don't know why that's popped into my head, but it did. U.S. Appeals Court clears the way for Florida ban on transgender care for minors. Ouch. The law revived by ruling prohibits transgender minors from being prescribed puberty blockers and hormonal treatments. So they're blocking that. That's awesome. 2 people in a maintenance facility were killed and 1 seriously injured. So 3 people involved in this, 2 dead, 1 alive still, but very seriously injured. Apparently what happened is they were trying to replace or deal with a bad tire, and it popped or something to that effect, and that killed 2 people. Like, that's pretty brutal. Think about it. I didn't realize they were pressurized. I thought they were kind of like almost solid rubber, but yeah, I mean, solid rubber tire is a bad idea. I get that from an engineering standpoint. Just I didn't realize they actually had pressure, because I know they're thick as hell, but all said, pretty horrible. Also, SeaTac Airport, Seattle, Tacoma International Airport, 3rd day, I guess, Monday, they've been having issues with outages of all sorts of stuff. So they got cyber attack, apparently disrupted internet, phones, and email and other systems at the SeaTac Airport, just causing all sorts of problems. Didn't say it was grounded flights per se, but causing problems. It's funny is they're like, it's not stopped any problems with the TSA working people through security. It's like, oh, cool. So you're able to get them all shoved inside the airport where they have to spend money for the airport, but they can't go anywhere maybe once that happens, huh? That's awesome. That works out well. What was this one? The Department of Defense announced Monday the appointment of Dr. John T. Kozlowski as director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Never even heard of AARO. It's better known as the Pentagon's UFO office, apparently. Kozlowski is leaving his position as the National Security Agency, no such agency, to join the team at AARO in, quote, investigating, allegedly, they're saying in parentheses, UFOs and other paranormal phenomena, according to a press release from the DoD. Kozlowski's background covers the fields of quantum optics and cryptomathematics, as well as mission-oriented research and analysis. What I think is unique about this, I don't know, something about this smells like the deep state trying to put in their people in the Pentagon that have been working on this in the NSA side of things, probably not in a good way. They're now trying to put this into the Pentagon where they can possibly put it into play, which might be the alien invasion idea. Makes me wonder. There's been a lot of talk of that. A lot of their other stuff's not working. I don't know if they've got a lot of control over those craft still or not. We'll see. Be wary. I don't trust our government right now. 5 ESPN executives out in latest management shakeup. Got rid of a bunch of people. Promoted 2 dudes. For any of you guys that follow sports, what do we got? Magnus announces 37-year network veteran Mike McQuaid has been promoted to EVP role and will be overseeing sports production, meaning like live events. And Dave Roberts is leading the sports news entertainment team, which covers news and studio shows that aren't specific to a single sport or league, such as Sports Center, First Take, Get Up, and so forth. So ESPN is also a deep state company that is getting hit hard right now. Maybe it'll survive, hopefully, but sports is so fake, guys, like it's unfortunate. So we'll see. And very sad news for Mariah Carey. Her mother and sister died separate places, separate locations on the exact same day. So sad. She lost her mom and her sister on the same day. Very sad. Very sad. And I don't know Mariah Carey's past. I don't know what deals she's made in Hollywood. So this could be some of the penance she pays, or it's just a very, very unfortunate thing that's happening to a lovely singer. I don't know anything about her as a person. I love her music. My girlfriend, she's one of my girlfriend's favorites. So she constantly, like, when we karaoke, it's her, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, and Celine Dion, man. That shit she wants, she grabs. Anything. Any of those 3 chicks ever sang, my girlfriend wants to karaoke the shit out of it. So that's how it works. I just love her. I sit back. I try to figure out what the hell song I'm going to sing when she finally gives me the microphone. Doesn't happen much, but when it does, I need to be prepared. Like what's going on in the world, right? We all got to be prepared. Crazy times. So, guys, we're keep moving forward, and we'll get there. Potential spam. F you. We're going to keep pushing forward, though. We got a lot of great stuff happening, and we are going to keep moving through this. Like, I don't think the deep state's plans are working the way they want. I don't think they're getting nearly as far as they think they're going to get or have been able to get. So we're seeing things fall apart for them. They're getting pissed, they're getting angry, but there's not a lot they can do. Again, let's not underestimate, but we're not sure what control they have of anything or how much money they even have anymore to be able to try to do stuff. But we are definitely seeing them lose power. This is a very, very fun time. Stay strong, guys. Keep pushing forward and be as prepared as you possibly can, because we don't know. The time's coming where things are going to get really weird, and you're going to be one of the only people around you that knows what the hell's actually going on. A lot of people are going to look up to you. It's going to be an interesting time for all of us. Make your ripples strong and make them count. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.